But the moment of enlightenment, which for some of you guys might be this video right now, is when you get to the point and you realize that all of the things, your beliefs, your mindsets, all the programming was just like factory installed. Like you didn't install it personally. You didn't audit all of those beliefs. You didn't audit all those mindsets before they got into your head and became you. Turn your headspace into a pleasant place. I thought about that today, and then suddenly I felt inspired to talk about mental health. So today's video, I'm going to share with you guys a couple of things that I have learned over the years that were quite groundbreaking in me actually taking control of my mental health and getting to this place to where life feels fun and easygoing and exciting, and there's a lot of joy and peace in my life these days. But once upon a time, there wasn't. There was these automatic negative thought loops. There was this chronic depression, anxiety, substance abuse, drinking alcohol, looking for substances just to feel normal. And I was just basically in like my own version of hell, my own self-created version of hell. And those days seem like such a long time ago, but I think the path crawling out of it was one hell of a path. So I'm going to share with you guys a bunch of things that I realized over the years that really just helped get me to just a place where I'm good and I'm happy and I feel so in control of my mental health, because I want that for you. And I think everybody deserves to have that, because this stuff isn't taught in school. Like, the only way you find out about this stuff is if you click on a video like this, or you find some teacher who teaches this outside of like the normal education system. People don't talk about mental health and mastering your mindsets and your moods and your emotions. So welcome, guys, to turn your headspace into a pleasant place. Your crash course on mental health. So I do want to start off by saying one of the first things that will help you is realizing this thing called the reticular activation system. It's quite literally the receptors in your brain that when you're looking at something, be it the road or anything around you, it's hard to take everything in. Like if I'm looking at this wall or this camera right here now, like there's a computer behind this camera, a ton of thumbnails poking out. There's so many different words and colors on the screen. And then there's things on my desk. There's the wall. There's all the little engravings on the wall. There's my headset over there. There's the sun out there. There's a roof. There's people outside. Now, if my brain were to consciously be aware of all of these things at the same time, it would probably explode. So what the reticular activation system does is it focuses and tells you what is important to you in this moment. So right now, I'm looking at this camera, and really, the camera and make sure I'm in frame is the only thing that's on my mind, because my RIS is focused on that because I'm making the content. Now, the same thing applies with this system is negative thoughts. For example, like if you get a new car or you're interested in a car, you're going to realize that you see that car a lot on the road, whereas previously you didn't ignore it. If you think the world is a certain way, if you think there's evil people out there and everyone's out to get you and life is horrible, you will literally manifest that kind of life, because that's all you will see in the world. You will not see any of the good. So if you believe in good things like gratitude, joy, appreciation, that the world is a happy place, that there are people out there trying to do good in it, and when you actually believe that, you will actually see evidence to reaffirm your beliefs. So this can be taken both ways. So you can have an extremely negative person who lives in that negativity and they really believe it's real because their brain is trained to look for that in the world. And you see this a lot. And that's why people who are stuck in those low vibrations are just stuck there and they can't escape and they can't see anything else, because that's literally all they believe. So that is literally all they see. So it's kind of crazy to think about, but what you really, the thoughts you think really do manifest the reality around you. So this manifestation stuff is actually rooted in science. You know, like gratitude, joy, abundance. When you're grateful for all the things you do have, you start to realize you have a lot of things to be grateful for. That's just how it works. But the good news for you is if you're stuck in that negative spiral of just the world seems bleak and there's your version of reality just sucks and everything is shit, realize that all of those beliefs, those core beliefs deep down in your soul, the way you're looking at the world, it's all programming. And your brain is literally a computer. With enough work, time, applied effort, and meditation, you can delete and release all of that limiting programming, and you can install the new software. There is a lot in this world that's amazing. There is a lot of things to be grateful for. There's a lot of amazing people out there. I'm amazing. You're amazing. It all comes down to programming. So understand that the beliefs and all the thoughts you're stuck in is just, one, it's not your fault that you got there, but it is your fault if you don't do something about it, which kind of segues into the second thing I want to talk about, and that is your victim mentality. A lot of people have this victim mentality where they blame other people for their problems. Like, oh, I messed up because my parents raised me this way. Newsflash, guys. I don't know if you know this, but I think most parents out there mess up their kids, because most people, there's not a course. Like, people get like pregnant and have kids and they just think, oh, when the kid comes, I'm going to figure it out and, you know, I'm going to wing it. But nobody's like studies, like very few people actually take courses for like parenting and learning how to raise kids. And very few people end up being like good parents. You know, maybe you had decent parents or maybe you had bad parents, but I think most parents just do the best they can with what they know. And the product is you, little human. But the good news is, like, it doesn't matter what happened to you. Like, there's this period in our lives where you are subject, like when you're a kid, you don't know better. You just become molded into this version of yourself based on what your parents taught you, what your teachers taught you, older siblings, society, culture, all of these things pouring into you and kind of crafting like some version of you that you think you need to be. But the moment of enlightenment, which for some of you guys might be this video right now, is when you get to the point and you realize that all of the things, your beliefs, your mindsets, all the programming was just like factory installed. Like, you didn't install it personally. You didn't audit all of those beliefs. You didn't audit all of those mindsets before they got into your head and became you. No, that's the scary part, is that you're kind of just up in the wind and you're doing this, what they call like the habit of drifting in How to Outwit the Devil, is where you just on autopilot and you're going through life and you think this is you because of everything that's happened to you. But when you get to this moment of consciousness where you realize like, whoa, this is all programming. I can install whatever software I want to install. I can have whatever beliefs I want to have, and I can become whatever person I want to be. That is enlightenment. And it doesn't matter what happened in your past. It doesn't matter who traumatized you, what your parents did, how shitty your situations were in the past. Like, all that stuff can be released and let go. It can be forgiven. It might take some time. It might take some effort. But like I said, this isn't like an overnight thing, guys. But when you realize it and realize that you're not a victim and nobody owes you anything, like if your life is shit and things are not working out your way, there's no one to blame except yourself. And that might be the biggest challenge in itself, is taking accountability and extreme ownership for everything in your life. The good, the bad, the ugly. But that's almost what you have to do. Like, when I was struggling and I was, you know, pissed drunk 4 years ago and I was circling the drain, I was stuck listening to this emo ass rap and like super depressed and really didn't see any point in living. Like, no one was going to come save me except myself. And I was lucky that at rock bottom, I realized that. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta save myself, and I gotta do the work to not be this person anymore, because it's literally death. At that point, it's like, either I'm just going to die, or I'm going to turn things around for me and actually live a life worth living. So understand that you can change. It doesn't matter how deep in the abyss you are. If you're awake and you're conscious and you're watching this video, you can turn it around. You can tell yourself a better story. It's never too late. You're never too old to be better. So actually, I'm thinking of this guy I follow called Julian himself, Julian Blanc. He's a great YouTuber. I get a lot of my self-development wisdom from him. But he has this expression he says where it's like, get better, not bitter. Don't be bitter because of what happened to you, what someone else did to you. Do better. Les Brown says, it doesn't matter what anybody does to you. Nobody cares about that stuff. The only thing that matters is, what are you going to do about it? Get better. Don't get bitter. So for the victim mentality, understand that you are not a victim. Nobody is a victim. Don't ever think you're a victim. If I were to get captured right now and thrown in prison and basically made a slave, I am still not going to feel like a victim, because while they may take my body, my mind can never be stolen. At least until they develop like crazy nanochips or some crazy stuff like that one day. But right now, wisdom is in the head, guys. So victim mentality, nobody is a victim. And if you think you're a victim and you're blaming the world for your problems or someone else and they did this to me, well, you know what? Newsflash, this might hurt some of you, and I'm sorry if it does, but you're not a victim. And I'm telling you now, you have so much power, so much untapped potential that you haven't even tapped into yet. And I know this about you. So now we've addressed that one. And now let's move on to some emotions, guys. Some emotions I think a lot of us actually struggle with when we're working on fixing our mental health. And the top one is regret. Regret is actually kind of pointless. And let me explain why. We all regret, not all of us. Like if you don't understand regret, you might have a lot of regret in your life about way things have played out, breakups, heartbreak, decisions you made, etc., etc. But here's the thing you need to know about regret. And this is true for everybody. If you knew better, you would have done better. Repeat after me. If you knew better, you would have done better. Too often we think of our past selves with the wisdom we have now that we were lacking back when we made the decision we regretted. And we beat ourselves up about it. Like, man, I should have did better. Why did it play out this way? Woe is me, etc., etc. No, woe is not you. Like nobody on this planet can ever steal what is truly meant for you. These experiences in our past that define us, that mold us, there's nothing to regret. They were meant to happen. And you did the best you could with what you knew in that situation. That is true for everybody because I do not believe, unless you're a psychopath, that anybody really has malice in their heart. Everybody is navigating this world and just trying to do the best they can with what they know. So don't regret anything. There's nothing to regret. The way things have turned out have always been the way things are meant to turn out. And that's the first step to releasing and letting go of regret. And when you let go of regret, you realize that, destiny is all. Whatever happens to you was meant to happen for you. And you're on the path heading towards something greater, something that is meant for you, whatever that might look like. Maybe you don't know what it looks like, and that's fine too. Just surrender to this deep surrender to this deep divinity within you that things will get better, and things do get better. And there's nothing to regret about the person you used to be. And let me segue into sadness now. Sadness is actually a pretty easy emotion, guys. It's very simple. Like the main thing with sadness is feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. And there's nothing wrong with being sad. We think we can't be sad, but truth be told, it's very cathartic to be sad. It's a normal emotion. Every emotion sometimes deserves to be experienced at some point. And if you're sad, you just got to sit with it. The worst thing you can do is judge yourself for being sad or be mad at yourself for being sad or be mad at or attack yourself for experiencing any of the emotions we're going to talk about, because that's just going to create another negative cycle, another negative loop, and you're going to go back to just self-sabotage and getting stuck in your old patterns. So with sadness, feel it to heal it. Simple stuff. Cry it out. No judgment here. Frustration. Frustration is... So here's the thing with anger and frustration. Whenever you're feeling that, your body's tensing up, you've got all this pent-up energy, you need an outlet to release it, because sitting with it is sometimes incredibly hard. And believe it or not, me, Sammy, the gentle giant, the peaceful man, I have moments, not very often, but I have moments where I feel that rage, that anger, that all-consuming vortex inside my soul where I need to break something, man. And it might be a little bit of genetic. My dad had anger issues. I repressed a lot of it because I learned from my father. And this is another thing, guys. A lot of this stuff is perspective. Like everything that happens to you is either, what is that expression? Hold on. It's, oh, I'm losing it. Okay. But the thing you have to understand is all experiences that happen to you can teach you something. And perspective is so big at making meaning over all the bad things that happen to us. It's either a lesson or it's trauma. I don't think that's the expression. Well, it's going to come to me later. I just know it. But everything that happens to you can be seen as a lesson. Like the only way something is truly bad is if you don't learn from it. Now, what is the lesson to find? Like me with my very abusive, aggressive father, I learned, well, first of all, I wasn't going to be that way. But two, it made me kind of become a person who was very emotionally intelligent, and I'm very aware of my emotions. And the last thing I do is make permanent decisions in a emotionally turbulent state. And I think that's very masculine. And ironically enough, having a lack of father figure allowed me to actually connect deeper with my masculinity. Strange, right? It's a lesson. But what I've realized is when emotions hit, a lot of times my emotions lie to me. Believe it or not, emotions are just emotions. Emotions are not you. You yourself are way deeper than any of the emotions you experience. So I don't make any crazy life choices when I'm in an emotional state. I wait until I'm level, grounded, solid, make a decision. So back to frustration. When those frustrations hit, I don't take it out on the world. I have two very cathartic ways I deal with anger and frustration. One, and I want you to try this too. Trust me, if you get really pissed off and you're angry, and you're like, man, Sammy Stark here, he's teaching me about emotions. And man, fuck this shit. I'm so angry that he's telling me I'm not a victim and I gotta take accountability and responsibility. Like, okay, use all that energy, go into the shower, turn on the cold water, coldest setting, take a cold shower and scream. I guarantee you, once that cold water hits you, your whole body, all that anger you had is going to get released because you're going to be tensing up. You're going to be like, what the hell am I doing? And then when you scream, it's so cathartic. Like, even if you have like roommates or you live with someone, just tell them like, hey, I really got to do this. It's basically therapy. It's cathartic. I need to let this emotion out. So run into the freaking shower, turn on the cold ass water and scream. And I kid you not, you do that for like 5 minutes. Maybe a little chest banging too, a little grunting. Afterwards, you're going to just be a puppy. Like, whenever I get really angry and I do that, I leave that shower and I'm just like, oh, well, I guess I'm back to normal. Another thing you can do is just grab a pillow and then just brutally assault your bed. I'm serious. Like, just grab a pillow and just go bang, 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 bang. Keep attacking your bed until you get all that energy and tension out. And then there's nothing left for you to do but lay in your bed and like go to sleep and take a nap. So that's my take on frustration. And then the last thing I want to talk about, actually not the last thing. Let's talk about depression real quick, because that's another negative emotion that people do wrestle with. So depression, understand that when you experience these negative emotions, especially depression, the best thing you can do is not identify with it. People get depressed and they think, oh, I have depression. I am the depression. This is me. But that is not true. Depression is a season. Seasons come to pass. If you're depressed, there may be a reason. There may not be a reason. But whatever is the reason or lack of, you can navigate out of it. You don't just stay there. Sometimes that depression is linked to something deeper. Like maybe you're not living up to your expectations. You're not becoming the person you want to be. Maybe a lot of bad things happen to you. Maybe your brain chemistry is off balance from alcohol and drug abuse, and now you're stuck in this depressed state. It's all temporary. You can do the work. You can exercise, get some sunlight, meditate. You can go on autopilot and do the necessary things to restore the dopamine in your brain, to ease the depression, to get back to loving life. You can train your mindsets. We talked about neuroplasticity. You can always rewire, refire the thoughts in your brain. So don't ever take depression personally. When you're depressed, that doesn't mean you're a depressed person. Disassociate from it. The emotion isn't you. You're much deeper than that. And even though you're in that season's going to come to pass. Spring comes again, summer, winter, fall. It's been a long time, thankfully, since I've been in a depressive season. But when I do get depressed, and believe it or not, even someone who's done all the work, sometimes emotions hit. Sometimes there are bad days. I'm blessed that it's been a long time since I felt those things, but there were weeks and months of my life where I was stuck and I was depressy and there was just no point in anything. And in those moments, all I had to do was remind myself that this isn't the real me. I'll come back after this intermission. And then, you just do what you got to do to get through the depression and the downtimes in your life. But as someone who's been depressed many times, I can guarantee you that you can crawl out of it. It's not an identity thing. Like, I don't call myself a person with depression. That's why I hate, I'm a nurse. So what I hate on the medical records is that they have things like anxiety and depression, which I don't really think are diagnoses personally. I think those states of mind, I think that's just it. They're states of mind. That's not a definitive thing for anybody. Like, yeah, I've had anxiety. I've been depressed. I mean, but let's say sadness. People have sadness. People get sad. You don't see that on their medical chart. Like, oh, this person suffers from sadness. They're a sad human being. But we do it with anxiety and depression, even though like, nah, like those are just more complex emotional states to handle. But I don't believe that that's anybody's identity. Although there are certain exceptions to every rule. Sometimes just the brain chemistry is rewired, but most often, most likely, that is not your story. I have one more thing here. I don't know why I wrote. So this video is a little random. I'm kind of going all over the place, talking about emotions and stuff and mentalities and RIS. But I think the last thing I want to talk about is romance. Whoa, this video just did a 180 turn. But what I want to talk about in regards to that is because there's a lot of negativity and negative emotions people feel in their dating lives when it comes to romantic interests. Like if you've gone through a breakup and you've been hurt, the hardest thing to do is to not get bitter, because most people get bitter. It's very hard for someone to look at a relationship and be like, oh, that was a beautiful experience. It was good until it wasn't good. And then it was just over. No, people get lost in the hatred and the turmoil and all the pain that we go through from past relationships and trauma and investing and being vulnerable with somebody and having it blow up in your face. Those are hard things to go through. But what I'm going to tell you is the better mentality is actually the one of like, hey, it was good until it wasn't good. Love and let go. Love is not ownership. True love. Like you might think true love is like clingy, baby, I need you, don't leave me, baby. Like Pikachu. No, don't leave me. But that's not actually love. I think real love is actually just wanting what's best for the other person, whether or not that person happens to be you. And that's kind of how I look at all my relationships. Like, you know, love and let go. When it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I let it go. Does it mean I'm never going to find love again? No, of course not. But it does mean that I don't ever have to take it out on the next one, because I think love is the best emotion anybody can feel on this planet. And you would be doing yourself a disservice to close yourself off to that. And the reason why I'm adding romance here is because I know a lot of people who are wrestling with their mental health have probably been hurt in a relationship. And if you're in a consistent, good relationship right now, more power to you. Love it. Comment down below. Let me know. But if you are single, which I think a lot of you guys probably are, you're kind of in this place where you're just like, you don't think you'll ever meet anybody. And you're just, you know, you kind of have these bitter feelings about your last one. And because there's so much good emotions involved, that's why there's so many bad emotions when things don't work out. And then, you know, I'll take myself for an example. Like this like a couple weeks ago, dude, I met this badass chick through the internet, funnily enough. And it went from like 0 to 350%, like nothing. Like it just felt effortless. It was easy. I wasn't actually like trying to like talk to her or like, you know, get with her, but it seemed like it was going that trajectory. And I was just like all for it. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I'm just being 100% myself. I'm being true and I'm genuine with my character and I'm not having to fake anything. And this looks like it's going somewhere. And I'm just getting excited. I'm like, no freaking way. I'm like looking up like, God, really? Like, is this the girl? Is this the girl, bro? But then after like a week, it fizzled out because she wasn't ready to be dating and still had stuff she needed to process. And I think most people who would go through something like that, where it's just like, you're so into this person for a week, the initial response would be like hatred. Fuck that person. I hate them. I don't like them. Look what they did to me. They're evil, blah, blah. But no, actually my response, and I'm actually very proud of myself for this, is that I was just like, yeah, okay. Like, 100%. I agree. Like if you are not at a place where you're good with yourself, you can't be good for anybody else. Even though I feel like I'm ready and this connection was like euphoric and real. Like I hadn't felt this way about a girl in probably like a decade, guys. Like that's how fast and smooth and flawless and great this thing felt. But then it's just like, yeah, you know, if it's not reciprocated, really, what's the point? And the cool thing is that, you know, I was just like, okay, let it go. That's it. Nothing else to do. I am grateful for the beautiful experience. It was a great week. Don't get me wrong. That week was awesome, guys. But then it fizzled. And you know, that part sucked. But I think we're all fools when it comes to matters of the heart. And the thing to remember is that if it happened once, it can happen again. It could happen with someone way better. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't happen, but that doesn't really matter to me. The point is, I'm loving the journey. I'm living life. I'm playing this game. And I think that's how you have to look at your dating life and your relationships. Like, you can't be hurt. You can't carry that pain with you to the next one. You can't carry that pain through life. You got to release that stuff. You got to let it go. That way you get to a place where you're open again to receive those good emotions. And it's a very healthy place to be. Just like, hey, life is good. I don't need anything. Sure, I'm open to things, but I'm gonna just do me either way and enjoy this life. So we kind of talked about a lot of things here, guys. But I think that's all I've got from my checklist. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about further, if you have any questions for me regarding like mindset, mentality, handling different emotions and situations, limiting beliefs, etc., please comment down below. And then maybe I'll make a more focused video where I'm not just all over the place, but I'm kind of just in a mood where I want to just get on and just like talk to you guys. So that is what I have done. Until next time, have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile. I'll see you guys on the next one. Hold on. Pikachu! Love you, bro. Never leaving Pikachu ever.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way.